Hello and welcome to another edition of another book review. This week I'll be reviewing The Might Have Been by Joseph M. Schuster. I'll talk very briefly about the author, go into a spoiler-free overview of the book, talk about what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it, who I'd recommend the book to, and finish off with what I will be reading for next time. Joseph M. Schuster is a writing professor who has had his works published in the Kenyon Review as well as some other papers, mostly in the Midwest. This is his first and only novel that I've been able to find any information on. I don't believe he published before this. I believe this is his debut. And is about a baseball player whose name is Edward Everett Yates, who is something of like a middling talent. He is someone who, at the beginning of the book, it's set in the late 1970s. He's in his late 20s, and he gets called up to the majors, where he has a very short stint in the majors. And the rest of the book is really him coming off that short stint and deciding what his life is going to be. And the book is bifurcated. Half the book is set in the late 70s, and the other half is set, I think, beginning in 2009. So it has kind of a 30-year gap in the middle, but it's basically two sections of this man's life, and really is about his desire to stay in baseball. And it's about kind of sacrifices he makes in his life in order to stay in baseball. I'll talk about what it reminded me of when we get to that part. But I enjoyed the writing itself. I think that Joseph Schuster has kind of a very, I'd say, economical writing style. He doesn't use a lot of flowery prose. He uses, I thought, metaphors and similes very, very well. He uses them sparingly, but when he uses them, they're right on. There's one or two times where I thought he maybe overused one. He used one twice and didn't quite fit as well as the first time he used it, but it's a relatively small criticism. But I enjoyed that. I like the tone of this book. It's a little on the bleak side, and I think you have to be in the right mindset to enjoy it. But I enjoyed, this character felt like a real person to me, and who goes through kind of all these trials and tribulations. But a lot of times the consequences of what happens to him are really due to his own action or inaction. And the book is ultimately gives him the choice at certain points in the book to change things or act in different ways. And you kind of see that progression of his life as these choices kind of catch up with him, which I thought was interesting. I think Joseph Schuster does a good job too of transitioning from time. In the book, it's very clear where you are. Most of the book is told linearly, but there are times where the character is thinking back to things that happened to him in the past, and those are delineated very cleanly, which I liked a lot. Some of the negative sides, there's some plot points that I think were kind of left-handled ambiguously at the end of the book that I kind of wished were kind of closed off. It does something of a slow pace. There's really not a ton that happens in large swaths of the book, and are really about his inner workings of his thoughts and his understandings of what's happened to his life. Some of that was kind of slow. I think the setup from the first half of the book, when you're kind of seeing him progress in the minor leagues, there's some parts in that first half especially that I thought were kind of slow. Kind of going back to Joseph Schuster's writing style, there were times where he would describe a scene and he would describe the people in the scene, and you're waiting for those people to have a greater significance in the story, and sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. I had never seen that stylistically done before. Usually when you go into a room in a book, people will describe what's in the room, and they may describe one or two of the people, but they'll also just say, there were several couples sitting for dinner. And he'll actually go and describe the couples, and you're like, well, do these couples have significance? And a lot of times they didn't, and I thought that was kind of strange. I saw that in a couple places. I thought, that maybe could have been edited down. I thought the length of the book, I think, was fine, but there are just parts of it that I thought felt a little slow. Who would I recommend this book to? I think baseball books are hard for a couple different reasons. I think there have been some pretty good books in and around baseball. I think that The Art of Fielding by Chad Harbaugh, I believe the author's name is, I liked quite a bit. You also are competing with Don DeLillo's first chapter of Underworld, which is, in my opinion, one of the best first chapters of a book ever written. So you're competing with that in some sense when you write a book about baseball. I think this is different than either one of those, and I think that you have to have some basic knowledge of baseball to really enjoy this. If you don't really understand how the minor leagues of baseball work to just some degree, it's really easy to get lost in this and not really understand the hardships, the difference between minor league baseball and Major League Baseball in the United States. If you're someone who's reading from maybe outside the country and don't really know that system, I think you do have to have some level of understanding of just the differences between them in terms of status, in terms of money, in terms of those things to really get this. So I think if you have those things, this could be enjoyable. I think the thing that this reminded me the most of was Inside Llewyn Davis, which is also about this character who's on the fringes of the folk music scene. He's never really going to be a huge figure in the folk music scene, but he's drawn to it and wants to be a part of it. And he also makes decisions, some of which are the right decisions, some of which are the wrong decisions, but the decisions that he makes follow him through his life. And this felt very much akin to that. And you understand from the character's point of view why someone would make all these sacrifices. I think Schuster does a good job of capturing that in the character of, like, why would someone make all these sacrifices in order to be a minor league baseball player? And I think he writes with an eloquence that really explains the character's thoughts and motivations of why they would do that in a very deft manner. Now, is that going to be interesting to everybody? That I don't know. And does the book need to be 300 and I think the book is actually only about 300 pages, so it's not quite that long, but like I said, there are parts of it that felt a little slow, and if you're going in without any knowledge of baseball, I think it's going to be difficult, but if you do have a background of knowledge of baseball, I think there's enough there that's not baseball for you to enjoy it. So that is The Might Have Been by Joseph M. Schuster. Next time I'm going to be reading The Silent Treatment by Abby Greaves. Until next time, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on Twitter. I'll have my Twitter link in the comment section below. Until next time, bye.